welcome to my channel. This is Leslie. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to be working again with the She's Magic collection from Dear Lizzy, and as you can see I have those little pages that those swatch little pieces that I've stitched with my machine, and these are the pieces on the front cover of the 12 by 12 pattern paper book, pattern paper pad. And this is basically the samples of what you can find in the paper pad, and they are like thick cardboard, but I managed to stitch through them and they look really nice. And this is a way you can use, you know, the front cover of your book, especially with American crafts, because they give sort of little sampler on the front cover of the paper pad for what's inside the paper pad. And I love it because they are 2 by 2, 2 inch by 2 inch, or about maybe a little bit smaller than 2 by 2 inches. So they work really well with doing something like this. And this is one way of getting a lot of pattern on your page and using up absolutely everything you can from your collection. You don't have to do like for instance here I didn't use anything from the paper pad except the front cover of the paper pad. And I've done this before. I think I've done this many times before, where I use the front cover of the paper pad, and I just love doing it. It's a way of getting lots of color on your page, lots of patterns on your page. It's a way of using all the patterns in the collection on your page, and it's a way of also using lots of photos on your page, because here you'll see I'm using 2, 4, 8 photos. I'm using 8 photos on this page, and they are 2 by 2, so they are really small. However, it's not a very busy photo, so it's not, the subject of the photo isn't very small, and you can see it's Lucy sitting in a bouncy castle. And in some of the photos I did cut Emma out. Emma was sitting next to her, but this is for Lucy's birthday, so this was all about Lucy and her sitting in the bouncy castle. And these are just a series of photos that I took of her enjoying the bouncy castle, and of her facial expressions and what she was doing and how she was bouncing, like sitting on her bum, bouncing up and down. The thing is that that day it was her birthday party when she turned 2, and we got this bouncy castle because we don't have really anything else to do for the kids in our garden. We don't have a pool, we don't have a jungle gym or a playground or whatever you call it. So we needed something for the older kids to use and to enjoy, and she enjoys it a lot. However, with the older kids on the bouncy castle, it gets a bit overwhelming, so she just sits in the corner and watches everybody bounce. But she likes it. She really enjoyed it. And here I am thinking of what else I can put on this page, because it is quite busy. I really like the way I put the photos down. The sort of composition of how I put the photos down, the page is very balanced, and I really like that aspect. So as you could see, I flipped one of those little squares over, and you could see that I added some little foam squares just to add some dimension behind the squares. And I really like how that turned out. And because also when you stitch a page or paper, obviously the bottom half, or the bottom side, the other side of the paper, there's stitching there as well, so it adds dimension. It gets a bit tricky when you've got to glue stuff down, flat glue stitched paper, so it is always easier just to put some foam behind it. You can use craft foam, or you can use these little squares that I'm using, the little foam square adhesive squares, sorry. And then you could just get those done. So here you can see I am taking out my fussy cut bits, and I'm not sure if I want to add flowers. I'm not sure what I want to do there, but I want to use these fussy cut flowers. Now, when I bought the collection, I bought, I think, 2 extra pages of this design, of this floral design, so that I could fussy cut a lot of flowers out. Now, I knew I wanted to use this collection either to document something of Emma or something of Lucy, and it was perfect. This collection was perfect to document Lucy's birthday, because she had a rainbow themed birthday party, and there's so much rainbow in this collection. And these flowers are just gorgeous, and they add, you know, some femininity and some softness to the collection as well. So I decide on using that flower just over there on that pale square. It just adds a little bit of character to that square. It was a bit pale, the square, compared to the other squares. It's sort of like a ledger type print on that little square, and that flower just makes it pop a little bit. Excuse me. As you can see on the squares, I left the threads and I sort of stitched the ends of the threads together on the squares so that I didn't have to go gluing thread down at the end. So they're all stitched together, and most of the little squares has this little nest of thread on the side or on one of the corners of the square. So I'm going into my into the chipboard, and I wanted to use this title. Now this page is very busy. It's a very busy page. There's lots to look at. It's can be overwhelming to the eye, and I'm still putting more color on this page. You can't have too many patterns and too much color on a page. And so I decided I wanted to swap out one of those photos, because obviously the photo with the title on will be the main, or the photo that you see first, because you look at the title and it draws your eye to that photo first. And the photo that I'm going to swap it out with is one where she's looking at the camera and she's got this little smirk on her face. So I just swapped it out with that photo where she's looking to the corner, and and that works out well. I do end up putting some wet glue behind that title, just to make sure that it sticks well, because the chipboard the glue behind it does dry out, and then it does fall off over time, and I just wanted to make sure that it won't fall off over time. Yes, so are you guys a fan of using so much pattern on your layouts, or do you guys do squares? I love this design. This is a go-to design. It's very easy. You can pop a lot of photos on this, and it's visually very pleasing because everything is in line and they're all in rows and columns, and everything is very geometric. So it is very pleasing to look at, very calming to look at, I think. So yes, I take off some more of those little chipboards, and I'm just going to place some of the hearts randomly around the page. I felt I needed some more interest. I felt I needed some more interest in the page. So there you can see I want to put some of those hearts together, that little metallic heart and then that pink heart. I'm just going to sort of stack them on top of each other so that there's a little bit of interest on that side of the page, so that it's a little bit balanced. Because of the magic title at the bottom, it needed, the right sort of quadrant, or the right bottom quadrant. It needed something at the top left quadrant of the page, just to balance out what it was doing. I wanted to add this little camera as well, so I'm finding a little spot where it can go, and I choose that little green spot because the blue and the green work really well together for me. It also balances out the lighter green square on the opposite corner of the page. As you can see, it sort of brings in some of that blue on the opposite corner of the page as well, the little camera. I'm thinking now of, is there anything else I can put on here? Is there anything else I should I add more flowers? What should I do? And I really like what's happening now, so I am just going to be taking off all of these little square adhesives, the little stickers on the square adhesives, and I'm going to be sticking down all of that. And here you can see everything is nice and stuck down. All of the foundation bits are stuck down. So all I've got to do now is add some adhesive to the back of those little flowers. And of course I'm adding more dimension by adding some more foam squares just to the flowers, so that they can create a little shadow behind them as well. I wanted them to stand up a little bit. Adding some more chipboard. Little stickers from the sticker sheet. Something interesting in some of the squares. Also just to balance out the hearts, to put a heart in each sort of quadrant. this is it for this layout. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you liked what you saw, and then I'll see you again soon. Bye.